Friday, March 23rd. We're going to talk about how to be a people attractor. How to be a people attractor. How would I know? Well, I have friends that are people attractors, of course. All right, so how to be a people attractor. So here's the deal. If you want to be a leader, you got to be a people attractor and also a people retainer, a people grower. You want to be a people grower. If you're going to be a leader, you have to be a people attractor and a people grower, right? Which means that at some point, some of you guys are now building your teams and others are going to want to build your teams. Yeah. And one of the best things about being a leader is that you get to pick the people that you get to work with. How great is that? That's true, isn't it? If you're not a leader, you don't get to pick who you work with. You're stuck with me, folks. But if you're a leader, you can build a circle of people that you want to work with and work with those people because you know how to attract people and you know how to grow people. So they stay and they grow. Now, let's talk about this. So here's a couple useful things for work and life. People are drawn to leaders with a similar leadership lid level. I'm going to repeat that. People are drawn to leaders with a similar leadership lid level. Leadership. What is a leadership lid level? Well, just think of a cylinder, right? And you got like levels, and the higher you go, the better leader you are, right? So here's the deal, though. You will be attracted to the vision of people who are at a similar lid level to you. So that means if you're a 9, right, you're going to repel a 4. You're not going to get a 4. But if you're a 4, you're not going to get a 9. You cannot do it, right? Now, here's something useful to know. Everybody attracts somebody. Everybody attracts somebody. It's true. No matter what. But you're going to attract people who are the same leadership level as you. So, for example, like if you're working in a bar, you're going to attract people to your vision. Are they necessarily the people that you want to attract to your vision of growing a great organization? Maybe, maybe not. Right? They're similar to you in your lid level, okay? So if you attract people who are similar to you at your lid level, then what does it mean for you? It means that you want to increase your lid level, hopefully. Maybe some of you are like, maybe that's why I'm not attracting great people. I'm a little too good for them. That's maybe not the case. I challenge you to think that the higher your lid level, the better people you will attract. That's a fact. The higher your lid level, the greater people you will attract. All right. Now, so what does it mean to attract people? Let's talk about that, okay? Your goal as a leader is effectively to raise your lid, attract better people. Comes down to effectively 3 factors. 3 factors I will describe for you in mediocre detail. All right. So the first factor, how do you attract people, is you got to be happy. You got to be happy. I'm gonna write that one down. But how do I be happy? Drugs is not the answer. That's not true. It's not real happiness, all right? How do you be happy? Well, let me first of all talk about happiness. So the thing about happiness is that when you're happy, other people want a piece of that. Like they want to be a part of that. You know what I mean? Like when you're doing cool stuff and you're happy, people are like, huh, that person's doing cool stuff and they're happy. I want to be a part of that. So for example, you're like sharing with others how happy you are because you get to go to a cool meeting with lots of great people and talk about suits with your favorite friends on earth. And then your friend on Facebook's like, hey, I'm noticing that you're going to this place and hanging out with cool people talking about suits. Can you tell me about that, right? Who's had that happen to them? A couple of you. That's right. Of course, because they want to know what's making you so happy. And then you attract them. You like attract them into your vision because you're happy. Now, here's the thing. There's the wrong kind of happy and there's the right kind of happy. Like if you have a great Instagram, you're not happy. Like you're not, there's just nobody that's happy. That's like, look at my 8,000 followers and like, here I am going into the forest for a hike. Like, nope, you're not happy. That's like, that will attract some people, right? But it won't retain or grow people because it's a facade. It's not real. It's not a thing, right? But if you want to be a good leader and if you want to attract great people, you got to have real happiness. So what is real happiness? Let's just go right into it. I'm going to distill it to its lowest common denominator. It's just simple gratitude. It's just simple gratitude. Like just being thankful for the things that you do and are, and most importantly, being thankful for the people around you. By expressing gratitude for the things that you have and the things that you are, I guess, and by expressing gratitude for the people around you, you convey genuine happiness. In fact, studies done by the smartest bears on earth have already proved that people who are more grateful are more happy. All right? And that's true. That's a science thing. So if you're expressing gratitude for the leaders around you, if you're expressing gratitude for your clients, if you're expressing gratitude for just general everyday things in your life that you're grateful for, you will attract people and you will attract better people. How crazy is that? It's true too. You will attract people and you'll attract better people simply by showing and expressing gratitude. That is 1/3 of your formula. So if you're not doing that, I suggest you do that. Number 2, how else do you attract and grow great people? Well, this one's simple. You got to be successful. You got to be successful. Now we're going to talk about success, because in this context, success is not what you think it means. Or maybe it is. So in this sense, what I'm talking about, like, you can be successful, like, in one sense of the word, but imagine, like, you've known people that are, like, really smart and generally successful, and then they get down on life, and they're still smart and they're still generally successful, but they're mopey and they're off life schedule, right? They're not on life schedule. So that's not success. Success, I'm not talking about, like, things you've accumulated. I'm talking about that which you are right now. That's what I'm talking about. Are you on life schedule? Are you on life schedule? See, life schedule, that's success. I'll give you an example. So if you don't have a time in the day that you wake up that's like the same time in the day every day because you're disciplined, that's not success. You're off schedule, right? You're off schedule of life. Being successful, you ever notice how successful people have a calendar, right? Like, and I'll give you guys something. So we did this shirt event, which was terrible. We've done some great ones, but we did this one that was terrible, and I won't mention which one it was unless you ask me. So anyways, we did this shirt event. It was terrible. And these people are like, we're calling these terrible, terrible non-profits. We're like, hey, your shirt's ready. Like, oh, cool. It's like, do you have your calendar? Like, oh, I don't really have a calendar. And that's how you know that was not a good prospect. Successful people have a calendar, right? And more so, successful people have a schedule and they stick to it. And being successful and being on schedule means a few things. Well, first of all, it means that you're doing the right things when it's the time to do those things, right? In the context of our job, of our profession, it means when it's time to prospect, you prospect, right? Not sit there and, like, theorize about new ways you can give your sales talk and then practice it at 3 p.m. on a Tuesday. No, that's not the time to do that. That's not successful. You're off schedule. Being successful means you're on schedule. Why? Because when you're on schedule, you act with purpose. And when you act with purpose, other people want to be a part of that. Everybody's looking for purpose. It's true. And so when you're on schedule, here's other things about being on schedule. So being on, like, your, how do I say this? Like, being on your, like, fitness schedule is very important for leadership. And you might think, like, well, that's kind of crazy, but it's true. And those of you, and I mentioned this on the leadership call on Wednesday, those of you that have read Phil Knight's book, Shoe Dog, you know that, the PwC partner story. Won't repeat it, but it's true. And why is it important? Well, I got a friend, and he likes to say to me whenever we go out, he goes, Dimitri, like, people won't follow a 500-pound leader. And it's his way of saying, it's like, dude, get off your ass and go for a run. Now, I know they'll follow a sexy 240, which is all muscle clearly, but he's right. The point is that if you're not presenting yourself as successfully on life schedule, and one of those ways is just demonstrating that you can at least look decent in a suit, and it's like, well, how do you do it? Well, you just have to say it. It's true. It's true. You have to present yourself successful in life, and you have to be on life schedule. Another example I want to cover here is if you smoke. Now, fine, that's a personal habit, but we can all agree it's probably not a good habit, right? It's not a good habit. Now, you might say, well, whatever, my friends do it, and that's cool. But you know what? Like, if you're going after, like, a super sharp guy, like, let's say, I'll use Chenda as an example, and you're going after a sharp guy, and you're saying to him, I'm going to be your leader, and I'm going to lead you, and he's looking at you thinking, this guy's making a poor logical decision, right, which is detrimental to his life, correct? It has to be. It's expensive, and it doesn't achieve anything. And so now he's thinking, Well, if he's going to make a poor logical decision that's going to detriment him in this context, what kind of decision will that person make when it comes to my career? Right? So high-level, sharp leaders don't kind of see those things. And so that's, life schedule. It's very, very important. So if you're successful, it means you're on life schedule, and it means you will attract sharper people. All right? Now, we've gone 2/3 of the way. So we're talking about happiness. We're talking about your personal success, which is your life schedule. And the third factor of attracting and retaining and growing great people is your, drumroll, social engagement. It's your social engagement. Write that one down. That's a good one. Social engagement. Now, I don't know about you guys. Do you guys like people? Some of you, I don't really like people that much. I don't know. I just feel like I know enough people. And I know enough people to know about people. That's really the worst thing. But I'm not a big people guy. Like, I'm kind of an introvert. But that's, you know what? But that doesn't mean that you can't and I can't and we can't be socially engaging. What does it mean to be socially engaging? It means that you socially engage with everyone around you on purpose. For example, when you float, you are socially engaging people around you on purpose, right? And I don't particularly enjoy engaging other people because I find people boring, right? They're just kind of boring. But nonetheless, I still feel it's very important to socially engage people because it creates opportunity. Specifically, if you're floating, like, obviously creates opportunity. That's like an obvious one. But have you been, like, whenever, like, for example, I'm at a restaurant and there's a waiter or a waitress, and, like, I always make it a very intentional point to socially engage with them. Like, just talk to them and, blah, 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 because you don't know. You never know. When I'm at a party, and, man, I tell you guys, I hate parties. Like, the worst thing to me is, like, put me in a party. It's just like, ugh, and all the people, and they're talking, like, how are you? And me, right, whatever. So anyways, And so if the party has, like, some element of, like, folks that at least are not, like, 19-year-olds and annoying, and I do get dragged into those from time to time. I won't go into that. But if it's, like, a party and the people are, like, sort of, like, at the same kind of at least age bracket or whatever as me, because, like, I can socially engage a 90-year-old, but I've heard enough war stories. But anyway, so I still make it a point to socially engage the people at the party, like, very intentionally, right? Like, I'll go up and I'll just start talking. And why? Well, here's why. You never know where that next person you're going to attract is going to be. And if you guys want an example of an incredible social engager, just think about Edgar. Like, unbelievable, right? Those of you guys that know Edgar, it's, like, insane. Like, we went to the Philippines and we're going on a tiny little boat from, like, southern Mindanao province. There's these islands up to Davao City. And, like, there's, like, maybe 15 people on the boat, and Edgar starts talking to some random dude, and it's just, like, what Edgar does, right? And I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. Anyways, the guy turns out to, like, own a bunch of businesses in the Philippines. Super cool guy, right? Shows us around, like, Manila when we come, like, a few months later. Just an awesome experience, and still a friend today, and we're still, communicating all the time. Just a great example. When I made a public announcement, I said, we're going to have somebody selling in Argentina, immediately Edgar messages me. He's like, hey, I know 2 people you need to talk to. And I interviewed 2 people, like, the next week for Argentina just because Edgar's such a social engager, right? And this happens all the time. And if you guys know, for example, like, Julian in Vancouver is a really good social engager, right? Like, one time he recruited his Uber driver to come interview with us. And that's, like, and actually not one time. It's happened more than one time. Just because he's like, hey, you look like a person that's working. Like, what's your goal, blah, 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 and so forth and so on. So social engagement is important on first of all, you're going to find great people to attract, and then just make it a habit. Number 2, it'll naturally make you more socially cohesive, which is very important, right? Like, do you know how to work a room? It's actually really easy. You just go and you talk. Like, my wife says that my wife, I don't know how she says it, but she kind of says it like, for somebody that's, like, not very, like, socially fluid, she goes, when I'm in a room, man, do I know how to work it? And I do. And I do, because I'm intentionally going up talking to everybody, blah, 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 yada, yada. As an example, and this is intentional, right? I'm not naturally good at this. It's intentional. Like, we had this poker tournament, right? Like, this poker tournament in Calgary a couple of weeks ago, and there's, like, 300 people. It's, like, the biggest, like, thing. It's, like, super high-end. We're doing an event there, and it's amazing. And I get knocked out of the poker table early on To no fault of my own, really, the hand was not great, although I thought it was good. Anyway, someone had me covered with an overcard. It's a long story. But anyway, so I go in, and the guy calls, and so the other guy's like, are you going to buy back in? I'm like, let me think about it. And so what I did is I walked around from poker table to poker table. There's probably like 40 tables, I want to say. Maybe 30. Anyway, so I walk around from poker table to poker table and just check in, say hi to the guys, whatever, see who I know, blah, blah, who's that, cool. Anyways, now the hockey players from the team, they never went to get measured for their shirts because they had their own private super room like that they got to go to, so they don't have to interact with us mortals, right? But because they're all the poker tables, I start talking to them, and within like a few minutes, like I got a couple of hockey guys going in to get measured, and a couple more. Then they bring the coach over, then he gets the assistant coach, and that guy gets the other players. And so that happens, right? And because I'm socially engaging and because I'm talking to everyone wants to know who I am, right? They're like, who's that guy? He knows everyone. I don't really know it, but it's an intentional thing, right? And so by the time we leave the thing, not only do we measure the whole hockey team, I also have the emails of like half the waitresses at the event because they're like, oh, you guys sell suits. I'm finishing school this year and I'm looking to get into sales. And I'm like, well, write down your email. I'll send you information about our company, right? And then boom, 2 days later, one of them's here for following in an interview. So it's like, again, it's just that social engagement that creates social fluidness and social cohesion. And that's the third part about being a great leader is you have to be socially engaging, right? Have you ever known like an introverted, like angry person that I can be sometimes, but that is just like that all the time, that attracts and retains great people? And the answer is no. You cannot be a great leader unless you're a great engager. So there are your 3 things for you to think about and work on. I'll summarize it up for you. You will attract people at a similar lid level to yourself, right? If they're too high or too low, you will not attract them. And I feel like I have grown as a leader personally. Why? Because I'm looking at the screen and there's some really great people here. And I'm thankful and grateful for that. And I will keep working to grow so that we continue growing together. And by the way, you know that lids attract each other because you've outgrown some of your friends. True? True, right? Yeah, that's right. Some of you, it happened after you took this job for a while, right? You started getting sharper. You started getting more focused. You started getting more persistent. You started living with a purpose. And all of a sudden, your friends started to fall behind and the lids, and so you diverged because you outgrew them. So you know that similar lids attract, and so you want to raise your lid, and there are the 3 things you got to think about. You got to think about your happiness, your gratefulness specifically. You got to think about your life schedule. Are you making the right choices? And and keeping the right schedule, of course. And are you socially engaged with everyone around you? And that's your call for today. I want to wish you guys a great day. Have a fun Friday, a good weekend, and I'll see you on Monday. Cheers.